Welcome back to Stinchfield, everyone. Right now, Americans need to fight for their right to vote, specifically for those votes to be counted correctly. We know some of those votes were not recorded accurately because the software of Dominion voting systems used by many states appears to be flawed. A, quote, glitch in Michigan resulted in 6,000 Trump votes going to Biden instead. And now we know the same software was used in virtually every swing state in this election. This is not the first time Dominion software has been questioned. Foreign elections in countries like the Philippines experienced similar glitches. And earlier this year, Dominion decided to cut costs by eliminating Microsoft security, making their systems much more vulnerable. Practically every battleground state in the country was affected by that decision, but not Texas. In the Lone Star State, leadership rejected the Dominion voting software there. Data specialists in both the Secretary of State's office and the Attorney General's office sounded the alarm about Dominion on 3 separate occasions. Texas rejected Dominion for substandard security there. Attorney General Bill Barr has authorized federal prosecutors to investigate allegations of voter irregularities. And 4 years into President Trump's term, he's still rooting out deep state operatives. I want to go to right now the Attorney General of the state of Texas. We do not have him. All right, back to Bill Barr. State operatives, guess Bill Barr is rooting out deep state operatives. And guess who abruptly quit after the release of the Attorney General's memo to his prosecutors? The career DOJ attorney who oversees voter fraud allegations. His name is Richard Pilger. This is the same, quote, hack, as Donald Trump Jr. describes him, that colluded with the IRS and the now infamous Lois Lerner to target Tea Party groups when they first burst onto the scene. This is from an email Lerner sent to the IRS's chief of staff in 2013. It says, quote, I got a call today from Richard Pilger, director of Elections Crimes Branch at DOJ. He wanted to know who at IRS could piece together false statement cases about applicants who lied on their 1024s, saying they weren't planning on doing any political activity, and then turning around and making large, visible political expenditures. So what's that email about? Well, Lerner's email appears to confirm Pilger was trying to find any way he could to criminally prosecute working class Tea Party conservatives. So this is the man who quit the DOJ when the AG said start the investigations into election fraud. He up and quits. Well, good riddance. One more ruling class career bureaucrat gone from government. Thank you, Mr. President. So as you can imagine, one more time, Mr. Producer. Got it. As you can imagine, the president's supporters are on edge about the president's prospects of winning. The president keeping a fairly low profile as this plays out. But today, the White House told federal agencies to proceed with plans for the president's February budget. I love the president's defiance here, and it gives me hope. Here to help me break down the messaging strategy for President Trump is the president's former press secretary and the co-host of Spicer and Company right here on Newsmax. He's also the author of the new book, Leading America. Please welcome Sean Spicer back to the show. Sean, great to have you back on.
Good to see you, Grant.
So look, Sean, the president's keeping a low profile. What do you think his messaging should be as we move through the next few days? Because many of us Trump supporters are feeling very uncertain during these times.
Yeah, so I think what they need to do is have their legal team come out and discuss what they're seeing in each of these various states, because that's important, right? Pennsylvania is the big prize right now. You've got 20 electoral votes at stake, and how the Supreme Court rules on those ballots that were cast after Election Day. Now, keep in mind, the campaign was making this issue way before the Election Day itself, which is the state legislatures, according to the Constitution, need to make election changes within a state. In the case of Pennsylvania, it was the state court that did it. The Trump campaign is challenging that and saying that was inappropriate. They didn't have the constitutional authority to do that. If they were to win that case, which is being reviewed by the Supreme Court right now, according to Jordan Secular, who was on my show just a little bit ago, that's a big deal. That takes 20 electoral votes away from Joe Biden and potentially puts him in President Trump's case. They're obviously making that case in Arizona, in Michigan, in Nevada, And I think that the more that transparency that they bring to this process, the better. People have to understand what they're talking about when they make allegations of fraud. For example, Matt Schlapp was on my show yesterday. He talked about people that literally are dead that cast ballots. That is a crystal clear example of something that everybody should be outraged about. But the more that the president's team can give concrete examples like Matt Schlapp did yesterday, the better, because then people go, there's no way a dead person should vote. There's no way a person should vote 2 or 3 times. The more examples that they give, the more credibility and transparency they bring to this process.
All right, Sean, do you think, you've been inside the White House, obviously working very closely with the president. Do you think they have some information that they're not telling us that may give them more hope as a path to victory here? Or are they telling us the whole story?
Well, I think they're telling us the whole story, but I think the problem isn't the whole story. It's that, you've heard this from some of the folks on the Trump team. They're not getting the whole story yet. They're not able to ascertain some of the information. They're not able to observe some of these ballot counting processes. So the problem is that they're kind of telling us as they find out themselves. That's part of the problem. When you listen to the chair of Arizona, the Republican chairman, Kelly Ward, talk about the fact that the Secretary of State there won't give them the number of the total ballots cast. That's a problem, Grant. And so I think part of what's happening is you're seeing this process play out in real time. What a lot of viewers don't necessarily understand going, hey, well, why is Newsmax not calling this and everyone else is? Well, Newsmax is waiting for the process to work itself out. December 14th is when electors actually meet in capitals. But until then, there's time. We didn't see a challenge in 2016. Hillary Clinton conceded on election night. When a candidate concedes, it makes the process work a lot quicker and easier because you don't have another candidate trying to slow down the process of counting the ballots. In this case, President Trump has actually seen issues that their campaign rather, that they want to call out, ask for recounts, ask for, clearance to be able to observe some of these issues that are happening when they count the ballots. That process just takes a while. It's not pretty, but it's not something that happens that often. That way, people are going, well, why isn't it happen last time? And the reason is because if a candidate loses bad enough, for example, the way that Hillary Clinton did last time, they concede, and then the process just rolls around. And that's not the case this time.
Yeah, I think everybody is just waiting for this count obviously to end. We've got some states, the count's not even finished yet, and we're waiting to see what happens in Pennsylvania because there's so many fishy things. We're going to get into those a little bit later on in the show. You've got the president, he had deducted from him 10,000 votes at one point from 3 counties at the exact moment, Sean. These are the things that I'm hopeful that the president's team can get to the bottom of. Buddy, great job on your show. We appreciate you coming on tonight.
No, I appreciate it.
Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
Transparency would help. I just think what's lacking in this whole thing right now is transparency. What do these supervisors of election and canvassers have to hide? Let every American walk away from this election knowing that the integrity of our system is intact. But when you see this nefarious stuff, it leads people to wonder, what are you hiding?
And especially when they don't want you witnessing it all. What are you hiding? Sean, great to see you, buddy. I appreciate you.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, that's Sean Spicer, everyone. Coming up on Stinchfield, exposing media malpractice. Fox News viewers are bailing on the network for its biased reporting. Wait till you see what one Fox News anchor said on an open mic after a guest questions the legitimacy of the election. That's next.
When important people...
President Trump